Kayano I, voicing Memma, Alice, Darkness, and more, there are few voice actors that have had as many highs and similarly as many lows in both their career and personal life. From an utterly tragic childhood to a fast-rising star voicing in a legendary anime to being the center of one of the biggest voice actor controversies to date. Whether you want to call her a lucky winner of life, a fiercely hardworking prodigy, or a tragic victim of circumstances is all up to you after you hear her story. Kayanon was born in 1987 in the metropolitan city of Tokyo, and as a kid, she had a fantastic early childhood. She was blessed with two of the greatest parents she could have ever asked for. A wild father who lived his life passionately and intensely. He was a man who lived in the moment, and Kayanon loved it. He'd randomly take her to places on a whim, like, wanna go to the zoo? Ooh, wanna see this racetrack? Just to give you an impression of what the man was like, he was a huge fan of Japanese singer Eikichi Yazawa, and to imitate him, he had a mic stand at home and would practice kicking it down like Yazawa. Or how on Kayanon's mom's birthday, one time he bought 100 bouquets of roses for her. The man was a living surprise. As a kid, every day was fun and exciting. Like, I wonder what dad has planned today. On the other hand, Kayanon's mother was a very supportive figure. She was apparently a bit of an airhead, but a very, very kind and loving mom. No matter what Kayanon wanted to try out, whether it be voice acting, beauty, literally anything, she would be 100% on board, fully supporting her daughter. This was the perfect childhood, and with Kayanon as an only child, with all her parents' attention on her and her alone, she quite literally couldn't ask for anything more. This dreamlike life would be completely shattered when Kayanon was only 15 years old. Out of the blue, Kayanon's dear father suddenly passed away, leaving Kayanon and her mother to fend for themselves. This was a life-changing event, and for better or for worse, Kayanon was forced to mature herself at a mere 15 years old. Kayanon's mother, despite losing her husband at such an early age, and even her own father when she was a mere teenager, stayed strong for Kayanon. She continued to support her life choices and was the loving mother she always was. Kayanon states that her father's passing somehow made her and her mom even closer than they already were, as there was this inherent feeling of let's do our best together as they continued moving towards the unknown future. Kayanon's mother worked at a beauty salon, and seeing her single mother work so hard alone, she wanted to ease her mother's life even by just a bit. Therefore, Kayanon strived to be like her mother and work in the beauty industry. It wasn't only because of her mother though. Kayanon had always wanted to work in a healing job, a job that helped people let loose and relax. So something in hospitality or beauty. And well, if you've heard her voice acting, you know that she perfectly fits the bill.
たとえどんな恥ずかしめを受けても
Kayanon started immediately in high school, attending a beauty vocational school in parallel to her regular high school, which absolutely could not have been an easy schedule. She took her goal of beauty very seriously, resorting to always using an umbrella to protect herself from sunlight, had a proper beauty routine, and even skipped gym class just so she wouldn't have to be in the sunlight. She's just like me for real for real! Sunlight's my worst enemy! As she graduated from both her high school and the vocational school, Kayanon found a job at a beauty salon as a cosmetologist, following in her mother's footsteps. Working at a beauty salon was certainly a dream for many young girls, but as Kayanon started to work, she realized that this was no easy feat. It wasn't just the beauty treatment or customer interactions, there was also the cleaning, washing, drying, and by the time she finished work every day, it was already late night. Overwork wasn't just an occurrence, it was the norm. Still, this was what Kayanon wanted, so she did persist for years. That is until one night, Kayanon would get home late, turn on the TV, and see something that would change the course of her life forever. Kayanon did grow up with anime. As a kid, she watched stuff like Ranma, Yu Yu Hakusho, and even Cartoon Network shows like Augie and the Cockroaches and Powerpuff Girls. Not that she was an otaku or anything, she just happened to watch a few as a kid. On that one night, she opened the TV to see the show Aria the Animation playing. She sat down and enjoyed the show as her hard-earned break after a long day of work. And something clicked in her. Watching this anime, she felt relaxed. she had always wanted to pursue a healing career, a job that could help other people relax. What she had assumed was this relaxation had to be done physically, like beauty or hospitality. But it was at this very moment where she, exhausted after work both physically and mentally, realized, oh, healing isn't just something you can touch with your own hands. It can also be found through artwork. Perhaps I actually want to be part of the team that makes these kinds of works that helps people relax. It was a fantastic goal, but there was a problem. She wasn't good at drawing by any means, nor did she know storytelling. What she did excel at though was talking. From all those years of experience talking to customers as a cosmetologist. That's why she decided if she was going down this route in entertainment, there was only one thing she could do: voice acting. At 23 years old, Kayanon decided to look into voice acting schools and auditioned to join. With no prior acting experience, she did have her fair share of doubts, but even so, just like when she was a kid, in this sudden new path, her mother gave it her all to encourage Kayanon to do what she wanted to and follow her dreams. Incredibly, she passed the audition for ProFit, a renowned voice actor agency's training school. This was only the beginning of Kayanon's hardships though. To even be able to pay off her tuition, she had to continue working the already grueling beauty job, plus another part-time job, while taking voice acting class. Kayanon understood how difficult this voice actor path was going to be, and it's not just about the money. As it is, very few people, even those with an incredible acting background and resume, actually ever even make it, let alone some random girl in her 20s. Most big voice actors began their training, their voice acting journey in the high school, and many even debut before they hit their 20s, so this age gap alone was a disadvantage, let alone the experience gap. Kayanon understood her current standings all too well. Broke, overworked, and with little fighting chance compared to her competitors. So she worked hard as she could. She graduated very quickly and immediately passed the audition to the actual voice actor agency, already an insane feat. Then, she gave herself 1 year. If she didn't pass a single audition, didn't land a single role in her first year at the agency, she would simply rile it up to, I wasn't cut out for this. Quit and go back to the beauty industry. 1 year. That was the deadline she gave herself. Little did she know, her voice acting career was about to be made in just 1 year. Technically speaking, Kayanon did actually make her voice acting debut when she was still in the training school, though it was just some background NPC in some random OVA. Her true debut would come in the form of Itsuwa from A Certain Magical Index, which was already a pretty big series. But only half a year later, she would be given a defining role that changed her life forever. Menma from Anohana. In case you don't know, Anohana is a cultural icon. I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say that this was one of the most revolutionary anime ever. It is the sad anime. The mere sight of this girl should leave you bawling. Bawl! I said bawl now! The ending song is literally known by even normies who have never heard of the show before. You cannot tell me you have not heard of this song before. This is the song that you will sing with 50-year-old Japanese businessmen at karaoke if you work in Japan. That is the level of fame and cultural importance the ending song of Anohana reached, and Kayanon, in 1 year of entering her voice acting agency, managed to get the main character role of a show of this tier. A show so good that I actually haven't watched it. We don't talk about that. As Anohana was airing, Kayanon's popularity basically blew up overnight. She won the Best New Actress Award at the 6th Seiyuu Awards in 2012, as well as the Most Impressive New Talent Award from Nikkan Sports, both pretty much solely from her performance as Menma. She even hosted the Anohana Radio, further boosting her name not just as Menma, but as Kayanon. And funnily enough, that's actually where she got the nickname Kayanon. But anyway, it was after she saw how much Anohana blew up that Kayanon started to be confident that she'd be able to make it as a voice actress. And boy was she right. As the years went by, Kayanon continued to get big role after big role, including Autistic Girl from Sakura Soul, Lollybait from No Game No Life, Inori from Guilty Crown, Masochist from 4 Idiots, Mommy from Saikano, Alice from Sword Art Harem Online, Hishiro from Real Life, Kokumi from Psyche Akari from March Comes In Like a Lion, Shisaki from Nagi no Asukara, Mei from I Love You, Mikan from Danganronpa, Diamond from Land of the Lustrous, and so on. You probably recognize a bunch of these, even if you aren't a huge anime fan, because holy fuck are some of these roles big. And she got all of these in only a few years span. In 2015, Kayanon even landed a role as Anya Dostoyevskaya, however you read that, in Aria the Avenir. You know, that exact same series that she happened to watch that night that inspired her to become a voice actress. Series director Junichi Sato has said that Kayano cried during the recording out of sheer emotion, since Aria had been a major inspiration for her career. Which, fair enough, it literally changed the entire course of her life. I'd be bawling. To her, this was quite literally a miracle. This is not even the only dream come true scenario for Kayanon though. To record a song for one of her jobs, she had to record at Odin Studio, a studio built by Yazawa, the very man her father was obsessed with. She simply says, "If my father was here now, I'd be so proud of myself. If only her dad could have seen this sight. It would have been amazing to see this proud father. He'd be going crazy." When going through all these roles and talking about Kayanon in general though, I inevitably have to talk about a person she has a very special relationship with. Matuoka Yoshitsugu. Matuoka, in case you don't know, is a super popular voice actor, known for roles like Kirito, Soma in Food Wars, Sora in No Game No Life, Inosuke in Demon Slayer, and such. Dubbed as the Harem King, as he has so many roles as a harem anime protagonist, the ironic twist is that he is extremely socially awkward in real life, and has somewhat of a fear of women. Despite this, over blowing up at approximately the same time and working on so many anime together, apparently over 50 now. 50 anime. Matsuko has grown really close to Kayanon, to the point where he calls her the only woman he can truly call a friend. They've hosted radios together, hosted events together, and you can kind of just tell that they are really close. To the point where, despite the fact that many female voice actresses have this idol image where it can be frowned upon to date, people here just actively ship the two. That's how you know it's special. They're delusional in the opposite way. There are rumors that, whoa, maybe they're secretly married and such, and to be fair, there really are some shipping bait moments that happened, but nothing concrete has come out, so everything really is just up to speculation. As the years went on, Kayanon would continue to farm roles such as Sophie from Mushoku Tensei, Dominique from the Case Study of Vanitas, Fuka from Tomozaki-kun, the MILF, Platinum in Arknights, Graf Zeppelin in Azure Lane, Liv in Punishing Grey Raven, and more. Even arriving in 2020, celebrating her 10th anniversary of voice acting. However, something disastrous was about to happen the next year in 2021. On February 11th, 2021, during episode 152 of her YouTube audio show, Kayanon casually mentioned that she had visited the Yasukuni shrine in Tokyo for a success prayer for her new releasing CD. Why was this disastrous, you may ask? Well, it's the shrine itself, you see. Yasukuni Shrine's original purpose was to honor those who had died in war, those who bravely fought for their own country, Japan. However, past the 1940s, the shrine had also started to include those who had convicted Class A war crimes during World War II. And for those that know what Japan did in World War II, it's not exactly a very good look. The most horrific human experiments in the Nanjing Massacre, the Korean Comfort Woman, all the wartime aggression, the list goes on. Yet despite this, the Japanese government has been known to essentially downplay these atrocities, causing a huge spark of conflict between Japan, China, and Korea up to this very day. The controversy regarding this shrine goes far beyond some voice actor visiting it. it's been a point of conflict affecting the relationship between Japan and China and Korea for the past decades, with many politicians and government decisions involved. Literally, whether a Japanese politician visits the shrine can and has affected Japan's relationship with China plus Korea. I am not going to go super into detail about these wartime politics or history because I'm not a World War II channel and it's super complex. But what you need to know is, this Yasukuni shrine worships some of the war criminals that did the war crimes in China back then, and Kayanon admitted to visiting this shrine. In the episode, Kayanon even casually described the shrine as a place that makes your mood feel good, and encouraged viewers to bow properly at the shrine. This pissed the Chinese audience off. Kayanon was already a very big voice actress and had fan groups even in China, so word about her actions spread very quickly throughout the internet, sparking some very heated controversy. Many people in China see the shrine, and consequently visits the shrine, as a sort of glorification to Japan's cruel wartime militarism, and were very unhappy with Kayanon's words and actions, to say the least. Some wanted an apology, some wanted to boycott all her works, some extremists even wanted her deleted from all her previous works, and some thought this was all too much. However, as Kayanon was a very big voice actress, this incident was becoming a huge deal on Chinese social media and blew up probably way more than the staff could have ever imagined. Hence, this controversial episode of Kayanon's radio was swiftly deleted on YouTube and Twitter. But it was too late. After a few days, this incident became widespread enough for mainstream media outlets such as the Global Times and South China Morning Post to report on. 1 week later, on 17th February, the official Kayano account issued an apology on Twitter. "We apologize to our fans for the inconvenience caused by our lack of understanding," hinting that they pretty much just didn't know the implications of such comment on this specific shrine. However, such a large controversy would not come without its consequences. Kayanon was soon dropped as the voice of major characters she voiced in Chinese mobile games such as Arknights, Azur Lane, and Punishing Grey Raven, being replaced by other voice actors. This is mostly due to China, frankly, being a country that's very sensitive to anything nationalistic, and I'm sure to these Chinese companies, having a voice actress who visited the shrine that worships some of the worst atrocities the Chinese has ever suffered is a pretty bad look on the company in China. Thankfully, for pretty much all other works non-Chinese such as Japanese anime and games, her voice remains unaffected. One question that I'm sure you've thought of after hearing this entire story that also affects the narrative of this entire story is, was she aware? Did she know about the whole political problems with the Yasukuni shrine, or was it an earnest mistake? Most people seem to believe that she simply didn't know how controversial the shrine was in Japan's history. After all, some parts of Japan's education seem to have a very revisionist history, and it's very possible that she didn't know everything about Japan's horrific past and the shrine's implications. There is a source that says Kayanon has actually talked about visiting this very same shrine with her family years ago on a radio. Just that time, it somehow didn't blow up. I guess she wasn't big enough or something. So maybe she really just didn't know and thought it was simply a shrine honoring Japanese soldiers. Besides, if she did know how bad it was, for the sake of her reputation, and as someone who was working with Chinese companies, she, as a public figure, would never even have talked about it in the first place, I think, for her own benefit. At the very least, even academics seem to believe that it was unintentional. Technically, there are some people that find it hard to believe that a Japanese woman in her 30s would know nothing about the history behind this shrine, given how notoriously controversial it is in Japan. Which is the truth? We will probably never know, so you decide. On the Chinese side of things, while there are crazies that want her purged, a bunch of people still like her and her works, believing it was an earnest mistake. She still has fans on Bilibili and such, if it says anything. I mean, China's a huge country. Just like any other place, there will be crazies, there will be normal people. It is just unfortunate that for the sake of avoiding drama, Kayanon will most likely not get to voice in any Chinese mobile games anymore. Damn did I want her in Genshin and Star Rail. Ever since the Yasukuni Shrine incident, I've seen countless speculations saying, has Kayanon's career fallen off because of the controversy? It's been over 4 years since the incident now, and if you look at her roles today, it is true that other than a pretty big main character role in Pretty Cure, she hasn't really gotten any new main roles anymore. While no one would call her irrelevant because of her existing roles from sequels of anime like Mushoku Tensei, SAO, and Konosuba, it does beg the question whether this incident did serious damage on her career. And the answer is, we don't know. Only those working in the industry behind the scenes will ever know. You could say she has less new roles, but who's to say it was because of the shrine incident? She's been a voice actress for over 15 years now. She's in her late 30s. It's not that surprising for the new rising voice actors to be taking more of the new roles these days. If you look at the people who rose up at a similar time as her, people like Soda Amamiya or Nao Tomaya, they don't get the crazy roles they used to, yet no one would really say they fell off. They still have a steady set of side roles alongside the main characters they've played for a long time. This is entertainment, just like with every other celebrity, actor, YouTuber, musician. Every successful entertainer peaks at some point. That's just how the industry works. So we don't actually know why Kayanon is getting less roles. What we do know is Kayano Ai has always been a huge lover of alcohol and Japanese sake, and today she's built up a successful YouTube channel with over 140,000 subscribers solely by being an alcohol connoisseur. So you know what? Either way, I think she's living the good life. I think we don't have to worry about her. Kayano Ai's story is one to remember. Her influence on the entire anime industry is one that nobody can deny. She's voiced in huge anime after huge anime. She's shaped countless people's childhoods. She is the reason many young voice actors today want to be voice actors. Some may remember her as their inspiration. Some will remember her as a tragic victim of unfortunate circumstances. Some may even remember her as one of the few lucky ones that chased her dreams and actually made it almost immediately. But no matter which way you want to spin this story, the fact remains both terrible and wonderful things happened in Kayanon's life. Is she lucky for having a loving family? Is she unlucky for having her father pass away so early? Is she lucky for actually reaching her dreams? Is she unlucky for being the one that accidentally mentioned a sensitive topic, massively hurting her reputation in China? Let me ask you, hearing all of this, in life, is Kayano Ai lucky or unlucky? What do you think? I think it doesn't matter. Life will always throw random ups and downs at you, and no matter how good or bad things are looking, it's impossible to tell what the future has to hold. Hell, even I could just randomly have an aneurysm and drop dead tomorrow, who knows? In your own head, you can always brand yourself lucky or unlucky, a tragic victim of life circumstances, or a lucky one who's had success prepared for you. But it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change your circumstances. If Kayanon had lost all hope when her father passed away, she wouldn't have been able to become who she is today. If she never had the Yasukuni shrine incident, maybe she wouldn't be chilling with an alcohol channel every week now. So you know what? Keep moving forward. Maybe one day you'll reach further than you could have ever imagined in your wildest dreams. Just like how Kayanon managed to heal more people than she ever could have imagined. Special thanks to Vicente Pagani and all my other patrons and members for supporting the channel.